It's one of America's favorite pastimes. Its practitioners are tough and sometimes dangerous.
You gotta go to the hospital later, you go to the hospital.
Its popularity has been growing for over a century. But it's not football. Welcome to the spectacle behind the spectacle. Join us as we reveal the bizarre rituals, the genteel history, and the over-the-top histrionics of one of America's most inexplicable pastimes. Now, tailgating on Modern Marvels.
The frigid pre-dawn hours of a December Chicago morning. 7 men prepare for a grueling odyssey. Their destination? A frozen expanse of barren tundra 215 miles north. Lambeau Field. They bring with them the fervor of the devout football fan.
This is my Bears shrine.
Roy Taylor is a 32-year-old technical account manager from Carroll Stream, Illinois, and a die-hard Bear fan since 1979.
A few items of Bears-Packer rivalry here. We, of course, have the shirts that we're not going to walk into Lambeau Field with unless we're completely crazy. The Green Bay Sucks button, of course. And not in complete support of it, but somebody gave me that one. Apparently somebody thinks that Osama wears a cheese head, which we won't argue with, but...
With 7.5 hours left before game time, it's time for these Chicago Bears fans to hit the road.
See you tonight. We'll make it back safe as long as we don't get abused too much.
Along the way, they see signs of the challenges that lie ahead.
That's just to show how tough the Bears really are.
Today, they are part of a nationwide pilgrimage of men and women streaming to football stadiums and arenas across the country for the party that lies just outside in the parking lot.
Giants!
Food, drink, and madness. The movable feast known as tailgating.
What tailgating really is the new community social. You know, we've lost the 4th of July party. We've lost the ability to socialize with our neighbors.
Tailgating really is the revving up period for the fans. It's when they get charged up and ready to go and cheer on their gridiron warriors.
People, they cook out and they bring a keg of beer, and it starts at 7 in the morning, and the game usually starts about 2, and you know, it's a crazy, crazy time.
Tailgating in general is just about people. It's the people you want to be with, it's the people you love. It's just being together 6, 7, 8 times a year. That's what it's all about.
It's really about togetherness more, I think, than it is totally the love of the sport.
It's awesome, it's amazing, it brings up the hype, brings up the spirit. It
gets everybody psyched for the game.
The players train hard to perform, and the fans, they train, so to speak, prior to going in for the game.
Each week, millions of people hit the gates all over America, whether it's State College, Pennsylvania, Miami's Orange Bowl, or the plains of Texas. The true fans are there week in, week out. You've got to wonder how this all began and what kept it going. The origins of what we now call tailgating are pretty murky. What's clear is that through the years, any big spectacle, whether it be sport or battle, brought community together. As depicted in this New York Herald illustration, many have called modern-day football players the Roman warriors of their time, making those outside the Coliseum on game day the first tailgaters.
It's very likely that tailgating was a major feature or component of the Roman gladiators.
It's true that while the gladiators battled to the death, outside the Colosseum, Romans were enjoying meals of grilled fish. Not exactly tailgating in the modern sense, but it is a start. Others suggest tailgating started 2,000 years later during the Civil War. In 1861, spectators lined up in the Virginia town of Manassas to watch the action of what would eventually be called the Battle of Bull Run. According to Captain John Tidball, a Union commander, all manner of people were represented in this crowd, from most grave and noble senators to the few women who had driven out in carts loaded with pies and other edibles. Spectators were directing their carriages towards the sound of war to get closer to the action and hopefully see the battle firsthand. Unfortunately, they got too close, and when Union soldiers hastily retreated, the spectators and soldiers collided with each other in the confusion. But true tailgating would not evolve for another 50 years. It was then that a sport with breeding, class, and sophistication would make this phenomena a reality.
Football was sport, but it was also tied with colleges, and it was tied with more breeding and sort of an upper-class atmosphere. And I think that's one of the reasons why Ivy League football got so popular early.
Since it was centered at the elite universities, the New York Times considered early football a gentleman's game. Newspapers such as The World and other media seemed to show that the crowds were more interested in the social scene than the game itself. As for the pre-game festivities, nothing beat a ride in a horse-drawn carriage with well-heeled collegiates roaring down the avenue on the way to the game. Ladies clutching their muffs, the gents waving their hats, as illustrated on this cover of the Saturday Evening Post. High society tailgaters running around in elaborate carriages? How does that compare to the gaudy rigs, sloppy foods, and beer-guzzling behavior that signifies modern tailgating? Today's tailgating diehard is anything but genteel. Just check out the windswept wilds of Lambeau Field, home to the Green Bay Packers. Lambeau has been in use for longer than any other stadium in the NFL, since 1957. It ain't pretty, but it's hallowed football ground, from the field to the parking lot. Here, some of tailgating's hardiest tough it out for every frigid home game.
It doesn't matter if it's 20 below, 30 below. When we get here, we do the same thing. We just dress a little warmer.
Green Bay fans are great because living in Green Bay is a tough life right there, you know, but they got the Green Bay Packers there. They got a professional football team who does pretty darn well. So their life revolves around that.
Since 1921, the Packers have owned this small Midwestern town.
Yeah, baby! Green Bay! Woo! I think we put anybody else to shame. And I know there's other teams that will say that, but if you haven't tailgated Lambeau, you haven't tailgated.
Lambeau's the best. There's nothing like Lambeau. I've been going to Packer games for probably 20 years, 22 years, and we tailgate every game. And we've been to away games, and there's nothing like Packer fans. They're obnoxious, and it's awesome. They're just a lot of fun.
I agree.
Cheers, baby!
We've had about 70 years of practice, and we've got it down perfectly.
Hi, I am the Packalope. This is a great day for football. The Packers, the Bears, on the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. Top. Perfect.
In 1999, the Packalope, otherwise known as Larry Primo, was the first Packers fan to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. There's a story behind the nickname of this lifelong Packer backer.
The Packers run away to Super Bowl 31. I figured championship horns, championship team. So I ended up mounting a 10-point rack onto the same vintage old Packer helmet. I added some Mardi Gras beads and a cheese wedge, and I became the Packalope.
Like most dyed-in-the-wool tailgaters, the Packalope has spent a lot of time in the parking lot.
In the parking lot, there's an element of personal expression for some people. Some fans enjoy putting hats on with antlers or horns.
There we go.
But you don't have to be a Packer fan to be a true blue tailgater. People like Tailgate Russ in Philly, the Penn State Triumvirate at State College, and Dolphin Dan of Miami exude passion for extreme tailgating all over the country.
This is football!
I think the hardcore fan identifies with the team and sees him or herself as a part of the team and indeed a contributor to the team.
Being a football fan for many men and women is very much a part of their identity, who they are.
It's a way that they get some value out of life that they're not going to get during the regular work week.
The question we have to ask then is, how did football tailgating come quite so far? From the old days when elegantly clad collegiates cheered on their team, to today when the tailgating party is out of control.
The rules are, you got to let it all hang out.
When we come back, we'll tackle a few tailgating traditions, both old and new.
Despite the long distances traveled by some die-hard tailgaters, 50% travel less than 1 hour to the stadium, 17% travel between 2 and 4 hours, and just 8% travel over 4 hours to reach the game. Modern Marvels will continue in a moment.
Game day at the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida, where the Hurricanes are going to take on Virginia Tech. Outside the stadium, the weather is balmy, the men are beery, and the women, let's call them scantily clad. The atmosphere is intense. The Orange Bowl party is one of the wildest on the East Coast. The screaming, the partying, the intensity, all are hallmarks of a big league tailgate. Here, emotions run high, sometimes with a little help.
Captain Morgan Spice Rum and Hurricane Football. Two winning combinations.
Sure, some of this passion is liquid in nature.
I think you should have some. There you go.
We all know the act of tailgating is usually marked by a creative approach to the consumption of alcohol.
First rule tailgating, no water. Beer, and more beer.
Bring your Boda with your 100-proof schnapps, and it's not really about the food. It's about sneaking beer into the game and drinking beer in the parking lot. So if you get caught sneaking beer in the game, you're still thankfully drunk.
Rule number 6. You go back to rule number 1 where it gets more drinking.
But there's something more to a college tailgate, and it's not just all the booze.
There are so many personal feelings that are associated with a college campus. People mature on a college campus, and they really become who they become there. And so that's what makes college football special, and that's really what sets it apart from the pro tailgating atmosphere.
So was college tailgating much different at its start? You decide. College tailgating started at the early football games of Princeton, Harvard, Yale, and Rutgers, with the excitement soon spreading through papers such as The World. At the very first football game on Saturday, November 6, 1869, the Princeton team was greeted by their Rutgers rivals at the train station in New Brunswick, New Jersey. It was all very civilized.
The game wasn't going to be played until the afternoon, so the Rutgers students took the Princeton students to a billiard parlor, took them around to show them the sights around campus, and made kind of a social event out of it until it was time to strip off their coats and roll up their sleeves and play.
It wasn't long before the impromptu football social event grew in popularity, becoming front-page news in papers such as The World.
The games were played in the early afternoon normally, and they were always accompanied by a feast. And the game always brought people together, and it made for a day-long event of food and fun.
In 1876, the Intercollegiate Football Association decided that the best two teams would play each other on Thanksgiving Day. They'd effectively created the first national championship game, and, more importantly, one of the biggest tailgating events of the year.
They picked Thanksgiving in part because it was a holiday already. People would be out of school, and it was right after the end of what would normally be the football season.
At the 1893 Thanksgiving Day game, over 50,000 spectators brought their lunches, tailgating at their carriages for the Yale-Princeton matchup.
Everybody in New York would come out to the games. The whole week before the game, you'd have shopkeepers hanging up the colors of Yale and Princeton in their windows. You'd have flags draped outside of the hotels. Newspapers would be giving coverage. So everybody got into the act.
And at the fields? Well, activities there were really starting to look like tailgating, at least as far as one critical ingredient.
Alcohol was very important, I think more important in people's lives generally than it is today. You read game accounts of games being played back in the 1880s and certainly into the 1890s. And there are stories of Yale students throwing empty liquor bottles at policemen on the field if they didn't like the way the policemen were pushing them back up into the stands.
Rowdy behavior and the times brought about the next big development in tailgating. Colleges began to build massive stadiums on campus to keep an eye on crowds that were getting bigger and more raucous with every year. By the end of World War I, memorial stadiums were being built to honor fallen soldiers. With larger stadiums and smaller ticket prices, the arena doors opened to the common man. By the 1920s, tailgaters only needed one more thing: tailgates. Yeah, the final piece of the puzzle, the good old American station wagon. In the early 1900s, the station wagon wasn't for Mom to haul groceries around. Originally called depot hacks, they were developed to help transport luggage and passengers from the train station. It wasn't until the 1920s that the first factory-produced station wagon was introduced. In 1929, Ford came out with the Model A station wagon, featuring a foldable tailgate. Soon, automobile owners were doing more than hauling luggage.
They would get together and open up the back of the car, get there early, enjoy alcohol. If they had it, they'd have food, they'd have cakes, all sorts of things, really make a pre-game lunch out of it. And have their friends together. A lot of the same sort of things you would see today, just the model of the cars would be different.
Over the years, the station wagon evolved into a sleek all-metal vehicle, and the tailgate would get a makeover too. A new kind of tailgate was developed that opened from the side or the bottom. Station wagons ruled when it came to tailgating in the stadium lots. More than 35 years later, it's still the same. Just ask the guys outside the Orange Bowl. Over the years, tailgating has grown from a few devoted fans to a mass party with an almost unlimited guest list.
Our tailgate has taken on a life of its own. The originals invited relatives and friends, and they've invited relatives and friends.
It's kind of neat. The people I played with and the players I coached, they all sort of know where we are. And we have guys from Byron Blades and Ted Hendricks coming back, and guys I played with, Gary Dunn, and guys will travel in. We played in, they live in Tampa, different parts of Florida, and they'll all come in, and we have kind of that our own mini reunion. Let's go, Kings!
Being a college football fan for many men and women is very much a part of their identity, who they are. 4 or 5 days out of the week, you might catch them in their team's colors. It's something that people not only identify them with, but they identify themselves with. It's very much a part of who they are.
So we've got the game, we've got the fans, we've got the parking lot, and we've finally got the tailgates. Now, let's get this party started.
Tailgaters are serious about their sport. 46% tailgate 6 to 10 times a season, 25% tailgate 11 to 15 times, and a dedicated 8% tailgate at 16 games or more per season. Tailgating will return on Modern Marvels.
Where would tailgating be without food?
We got the best wings on the road right here. Oh, man.
Whether grilled, smoked, baked, or fried, it's the chow that really matters in the stadium lot.
You can walk unannounced into almost anyone's tailgating party. You can have a completely empty stomach when you walk up, but by the time you leave, you will be completely full.
We have about 5 fried turkeys coming.
It's a free dinner. Just go around and stuff your face.
But what is it about football that makes stuffing your face full of meat sound so good? Sure, it tastes great, fuels the body's engine, but to die-hard tailgaters, cooking a meal isn't about sustenance. Oh, no. It's about rivalry, intimidation, and, of course, winning.
Look at this move we got here. Tailgating is about winning a game, and it's about getting yourself ready for the game. Is that right, Sebastian?
Territoriality is a major part of the tailgating phenomenon.
Might be, who's got the best cooker or the best grill. Absolutely, that stuff goes on.
They're part of the war. They're part of the competition, and they enjoy it.
A case in point, the early football rivals Princeton and Yale back at the turn of the 20th century. Princeton fans bought and ate oranges. Not a particularly robust meal, perhaps, but a food that matched their school's color. The Yale spectators? Well, they did what any fan would do in the face of a fruit-wielding adversary.
The Yale fans dyed them blue. And if you had the stomach to buy a blue-colored orange, and you were a Yale fan, that's probably what you would have eaten as well.
Before long, collegiate fans began preparing elaborate picnic suppers to be eaten on the tops of carriages at competitions. There they could root for their comrades in arms, eat some beefsteak, potatoes, and chops, and enjoy a good bit of armchair quarterbacking, too.
It was customary at the time for fans of both teams to engage in a wild game and fish supper before the game. They'd watch the game, and then after they'd come back and eat the leftovers and talk about the daring exploits of the young men on the field.
Today, tailgating is still all about fueling up for the big game, savoring the competition. People coming together
A peace offering.
and eating bear meat. Yep, bear meat.
I'm not saying there may be.
We killed 2 black bears with bow and arrow archery.
And bear stew.
Matter of fact, we have a spare bear.
Obviously, things have changed just a bit since fans first chowed down 100 years ago. For these tailgaters at Lambeau Field, the food is the game, and the game is food. Why settle for just booing the competition when you can eat it?
Had a great time, 300 people plus. Just a great place to be on a Packer Bear game.
Giants are number 1!
And Green Bay isn't the only place where tailgating fans ritually sacrifice their opponents on a grill. Worse yet are the callous few, namely Giants fans, whose rivalry with the Philadelphia Eagles spurs them to barbecue what appears to be an endangered species.
Breasted Philadelphia Eagle right here. It's a rare breed, but we cook them up good here at Giant Stadium.
Don't worry, it's actually chicken. But you get the idea. New York Jet fans make their loyalties known by grilling up dolphin sandwiches. No, not the mammal, the fish.
Dolphins are his favorite. He loves to eat dolphins. You know?
But tailgating menus aren't always about eating mascots. At football stadiums from New York to Michigan, Pennsylvania to Louisiana, some surprisingly inventive chefs base their carte du jour on their region.
South Philly, how can you be without calamari?
There's no smell-o-vision, but this is smell-o-vision, okay?
Yeah! Oh, guys, that's beautiful.
The kind of food you see runs the gamut. I mean, you see everything from people doing big pots of jambalaya to just picking up some fried chicken and some potato chips at the grocery store.
Down in the bayou, tailgaters at Louisiana State show their home pride by cooking it up with a Cajun flair, from the stone oven roasted pig to Creole favorites like jambalaya, gumbo, and lobster bisque.
If you come down here, you're going to eat food that's as good or better as a 5-star restaurant up in the north.
It's become a tradition, and it becomes something that you spend your Saturday afternoons in the fall doing.
LSU! LSU! LSU!
In Texas, we're rich people. And this is the way we do it. We're finals. Is this good food?
That's very good food.
443 miles northwest of LSU, in the parking lot of Texas Stadium, Cowboy fans have been gathering for over 37 years, every Thanksgiving Day.
What it is, like a bunch of like really cool friends that you love get together.
Win, lose, or draw, Thanksgiving game is always the best.
A lot of good food.
There, they blitz their birds Southern style, deep fried and greasy.
Now this is living large right here.
It's the moistest turkey you'll ever put in your mouth.
Yeah, eating fried turkey in Dallas is all very interesting, but what's tailgating in Texas without a piece of cheerleading?
This is our tailgate party right here. We get to eat our meal and have a lot of fun and talk and get ready for the game.
A lot of people think us Texas girls are petite little things, but we like to chow down on turkey legs like everyone else.
Go Cowboys.
Yeah.
All fans take pride in their parking lot grub. It's their duty to deliver the goods. Tailgaters at Penn State are no slouches when it comes to serving inspiring feasts in the parking lot.
Football Saturday at Penn State, that Happy Valley turns into a major media center, a mecca for people. It's probably the maybe one of the largest cities in Pennsylvania in that area during that time.
Every Saturday here when Penn State's home, you'll have people lined up to park in these parking lots at, well, we're here at 6 o'clock in the morning waiting for an 8 o'clock parking spot to get here. And our tailgate alone will probably have 150 people.
Florida State! Florida State! Strike your game and win!
Yeah! Try to get a nice cold beer. What you do is you come over here and check out the good grub. And here's one of our staple attractions. So damn good at 9 o'clock in the morning. Oh, man. Over here we got the best barbecue, beef barbecue right here cooking. We got about 20 pounds of beef. 20 pounds of barbecue. 20 pounds of barbecue today. Easily we'll go through that.
We've got dressing on the inside. We've got some gravy warming up right here.
We got some Manhattan clam chowder. Nothing but clam, nothing but clam.
And a little bit later after the game, we have some bratwurst from Milwaukee that we're going to cook up.
But remember this, the next time you're at a Penn State game, if they can't buy the meat in the local supermarket, Nittany Lion fans will hunt it down themselves.
Little venison roast. He actually ran this thing down and killed this deer with his bare hand. This guy right here, he's the one.
It fought, you know, but choked it out, skinned it barehanded.
We are Penn State! We are Penn State! We are Penn State!
Well, as you can see, tailgating fare goes way beyond hamburgers and hot dogs, and so do a few other items.
People in Oakland, they show up in their Coronas and their Subarus. We show up in our $400,000 Silver Eagle bus.
At a loss for what to make for your next tailgate party? Log on to the Commissioner's website, tailgating.com, for recipes for everything from Pro Bowl kielbasa to Colt's Fruit Pizza to Nittany Lion Spread. Tailgating will return on Modern Marvels.
Tailgating. It started as a simple barbecue in the back of an old wagon and has exploded into a money-making bonanza.
Got generators, we got a 2,700 watt sound system. The most essential item now is the van.
135 grand, you can own this thing.
He brings his own stereo system here.
We got fans, we got air conditioning.
We have a 1,000 watt generator that runs the stereo inside the van.
We have our DirecTV satellite this year. We bought parts on the internet.
Welcome to the big business of tailgating. NFL football is one of the most popular spectator sports in the United States. Of the over 20 million fans attending games each year, it's estimated that a quarter of them are tailgaters, and that these fans could spend over $100 million a year on food and gear.
The practice of tailgating, or this cultural phenomenon of tailgating, has really spurred a whole wave of spending on items just to help you tailgate better and to be the best tailgater you can be.
It's a little bit of a competition of a game within a game. What's the person in the next space bringing this year?
When did tailgating become such a franchise? Beginning in the 1960s, manufacturers began to realize that tailgating had become a popular ritual in the college football season. Along with the aroma of grilled burgers and bratwurst, the smell of money was in the air. Clothing outfitters like Abercrombie & Fitch advertised in the New York Times products specifically targeted to the jet-set Ivy League crowd. Their motto, all you need is the station wagon. Abercrombie's can supply all the rest. How about a horse blanket tweed sport coat for $95? Or an English wicker vagabond kit with thermos bottles in a nifty stainless steel box for only $30. Oh, and don't forget that silk knit English tie, a steal at only $6. But the days of gentle and refined tailgating were about to get sacked. Like the rest of America in the 1960s, football was changing. No longer a sport of the elite, it was louder, rowdier, and made for TV. And it all happened on January 15th, 1967. That's right, Super Bowl numero uno.
I'm Joe Namath.
Soon, players like Joe Namath became celebrities as the game of football transformed into the new national pastime. And it only got bigger. In 1970, Monday Night Football was launched into primetime television, bringing over 33 million American viewers with it. In 1996, Super Bowl 30 became the most watched televised event in history. All this popularity spelled one thing: moolah. Football wasn't just a sport anymore, it was a business, a big business. And today, football big business knows no bounds. Stadiums are full of sponsors, advertising, and merchandising,
We got one for the cameraman.
and a whole lot of tailgating gear.
It's an enormous opportunity for marketing. There's no question about that.
In salesman's lingo, there's a name for this. It's called a big fat niche. And oh man, how it's being filled.
That's what I'm talking about.
One of the byproducts of the growth and the popularity of sports and tailgating is all the things that are associated with tailgating.
Tailgating gear over the years has gotten more complex, has gotten more expensive. Where it used to be you just brought out a grill with some charcoal, now you're bringing out probably your whole backyard.
There is a tremendous amount of stuff that you can buy to go out and do this.
Tremendous is right. These days, if you plan on tailgating, you better get out your wallet because there's plenty of stuff you need in order to pull it off right.
We've got the big red, I call it the circus tent. We've got the picnic table, we've got the grill. We got the coolers, you got your Rubbermaid containers, right, for all your paper products.
I got my Thinsulate gloves, Gore-Tex gloves. I got my Cabela's boots on.
We got the generator, that's an essential every week.
These guys at Giant Stadium spent $259 on this thing, the Daiquiri Whacker. It's a 2-horsepower gas-fired weed trimmer combined with a blender. There are coolers with built-in stereos, easy-up tents, portable toilets, flagpoles, picnic tables, flasks, seat cushions for your tailgate, and don't forget the football.
We have our cowboy grill, we have our cowboy table and chairs.
You gotta have a tent. You don't have a tent, forget about it, get out.
It's called an endless summer, and it's just perfect. Put it up on the rack and set it up, hook it up to the propane, and it keeps you nice and warm.
We have a fireplace for warmth.
I mean, I'm ready to tailgate. It doesn't matter how cold it is, I'll be there at the last snack.
It started out very small, and then we graduated to this, and we're getting a porta potty for the next year's tailgating bash.
Look at this. Flowers on the walls and everything. There you go. This is tailgating.
But the most impressive gear in the tailgating industry isn't what you wear or what you cook on. It's where you live while you're parked in the lot. It's the crib. You know what I'm talking about. Nearly every home team has one. In Minnesota, there's the Viking Battle Wagon, complete with a gas fireplace, paneled walls, and Grandma's Easy Chair. New York Giants fans have been partying with the Pumpkin Gang van for over 47 years.
You gotta have a bus. You don't have a bus, you don't even belong here. You're not even in the game.
They come in all shapes and sizes.
This was a 1977 trailer that we just redid, you know? And this is the original 6 guys that started with us right over here. It's all Giant colors, Giant memorabilia in here.
The most essential item now is the van. Next year we're gonna upgrade, we're gonna improve, we're gonna do some more custom artwork to the van.
Some spend a lot of money. Others...
Boys, want to take a look at the car? Come on. This is actually a one-family car. 89 Ford Taurus wagon. My sister bought it brand new in 89. She sold it to my mom. The transmission went out on it, and I bought her a minivan, put a transmission in it, and this is what we have. It's our tailgating vehicle, and I drive it every day.
For those more invested in their ride, there's this pickup made by Galpin Motors. It comes with beer taps, TV, and a grill, all in one. These days, if you really want to tailgate in style, not just any old van is going to do. You're going to need one of these guys. The tailgater's ultimate pipe dream, an RV.
It's now common for people to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on large recreational vehicles that they use to transport themselves and their friends and their family to the tailgate spot. And sometimes folks might not drive it more than 10, 15, 20 miles. They happen to live right near the stadium, and they've invested all this money just to tailgate.
You certainly see enormous RVs coming into the stadium, and the RVs tend to come in on Thursday night for the Saturday night game.
According to the Recreational Vehicle Industry Association, approximately 7.2 million people own RVs in the U.S. In the opinion of the tailgater, there's no better place to put them into action than the stadium lot. In Miami, Karen Kendall and the Hot Mamas drive their RV to every home game, where they host tailgating parties for over 200 students and do lots of shots.
Welcome to our Miami Hurricanes tailgate RV. We have a 42-foot country coach, Millennium Series, year 2000.
Yes, keeping up with the Joneses is coming to a stadium near you.
Well, Jets.
In Dallas, Cowboy fan Vince Vance drives his custom-designed RV to the Cowboys' Thanksgiving Day game.
People in Oakland, they show up in their Coronas and their Subarus. We show up in our $400,000 Silver Eagle bus. Please, let me show you. This is it. Now, if you let's move your camera up. You see here the mirrors on the ceiling, the marble floors.
In Lambeau Field, though, this is probably the supreme crib, belonging to none other than the Packalope. It's not exactly an RV.
The hood of the van, I added Super Bowls 1, 2, and 31. Those are the 3 Super Bowls the Packers won.
Yes, sir, the big business of football has made it possible to have all the comforts of home in the barren expanse of an asphalt parking lot, including the house. It's made watching the game more enjoyable, the tailgate competition bolder, and the fans, well, quite honestly, it's made them a bit more insane. You've seen the over-the-top food, ogle the expensive gear. Now check out the out-of-control fans. When we come back, see what it takes to survive in the parking lot on game day. It's Tailgaters Gone Wild when tailgating returns.
The only home jet game I ever missed was to get married, and I shouldn't have missed that one.
If you're a tailgater, you know the importance of arriving well before kickoff. 10% of tailgaters set up 1 to 2 hours before a game. 51% set up 3 to 4 hours before. And an amazing 38% set up more than 5 hours before game time. Modern Marvels will continue in a moment.
Sport, the ultimate athletic contest of man. Sporting events can bring out the best in us, inspire us, leave us in awe, and turn us into screaming, raging maniacs. These are the Fanatics, the 4% of tailgaters who attend 16 or more football games a season.
The only home jet game I ever missed was to get married, and I shouldn't have missed that one.
Guys like Dolphin Dan of Miami. For 20 years, this Miami standout shows up in his shoulder pads to support the home team. The only thing that changes is the jersey he wears, Dolphin or Hurricane.
I'm looking for a sponsor to the Fiesta Bowl. Somebody will help me out.
Tailgate Russ. Starting with a strong rookie season in 1980, this tailgater out of Susquehanna University has put up some consistent numbers each and every tailgating season.
Started out with 40 people in 98, 200 people in 99.
But this grizzled tailgating veteran keeps his eye on the prize.
Earlier this year I had one for $750, and the goal is a 1,000-person tailgate, so I'm still working on that goal.
The Packalope. He's only missed 5 Green Bay Packers home games in a 28-year span.
Caricatures of myself, the Packalope, and my wife, Mrs. Lope.
But hands down, the tailgater with the most impressive record is Joe Kahn. Over the last 6 tailgating seasons, Joe has traveled over 200,000 miles to over 90 football stadiums. He calls himself the Commissioner of Tailgating.
I am a die-hard tailgater. Even when there's no game, I'm going to pull up in somebody's parking lot and set out a grill.
Not just any weekend warrior can be an extreme tailgater. It takes very special qualities to make it to the top 4%, traits that only a few among us possess. Number 1, it takes heart. You have to be there for your team, weekend in, weekend out. When they suit up, you suit up.
I go to St. Vince to all the home games and as many away games as possible.
They've got these crazy-ass outfits they put on, and so they come out of the closet, so to speak.
They're ready to compete. They're ready to identify the enemy, to be part of the action.
When you dress up and paint your face, and you're a banker, it's not something you do every day, but I'll tell you, for the team, we're going to do anything.
Got the growl towel going today. The growl towel. Woo!
But having heart is only part of it. To make it to the top 4, you also need quality number 2, resilience.
Keep your toes and your hands warm.
You have to be prepared to encounter the harshest weather conditions North America can throw. Failure is not an option.
I have about 6 or 7 layers on the bottom.
That's how they do it at Lambeau Field. Even the girls.
And, of course, big gloves.
Occasionally up at Lambeau, you know, it's could be a life-threatening situation because of the weather. You know, but if you're a true fan, you know, you go there and you sit with it, and then if you got to go to the hospital later, you go to the hospital.
It's not too cold today. It's only about, wind chill's about 0, what I heard this morning.
Green Bay has got a long history of weather-immune fans. Lambeau has the distinction of holding the record for the coldest NFL football game in history, the Packer-Cowboy matchup of 1967, better known as the Ice Bowl. The temperature, minus 13 degrees. The fans out in full force to watch the Packers plow the Cowboys.
I have a special piece of clothing that keeps me warm and cheesy. There it is.
So, you think you've got heart and resilience? How about quality number 3? Durability. You gotta be ready to take a hit like a quarterback. Take it to the turf. Defend your territory.
We pull in a little bit before 6. I see 2 grown men, 60 plus, about getting into a fight about who's parked and whose spot.
The thing about football is, since it is a quote-unquote violent sport, the tailgating is a little more violent. You see more tackling, knocking each other down. You want to have the feeling that those guys get out there when they hit each other, and men love that.
That's how the top 4%ers do it in every stadium across this great land of ours. And it's not just the guys.
Got pushed by a woman and wanted to start a fight with me.
And last but not least, for when number 3 goes too far, to make it as an extreme tailgater, you're going to need a number 4, a lawyer. Especially if you're in the city of brotherly love. Philadelphia fans have earned the undisputed reputation of being some of the most fiery fans in the land.
Pick fights, they throw food, they kick beer cans at you.
Philadelphia fans are very crazy because they're also sort of mean-spirited, and that's good.
Go along the cars and they write Eagles on your car when they know that you're from Giants Stadium. Just nasty.
Loud and boisterous tailgating is definitely a catalyst to loud and obnoxious fans in the stadium. The way that they prepare, the way that they get fueled up before the contest at their tailgates definitely plays a large part into the crowd atmosphere once you get into the stadium.
There's nothing like the Philadelphia passion. Nothing like Philadelphia passion. You can't find it anywhere.
You sure can't. On one occasion in 1968, Santa Claus visited halftime one game to cheer on the crowd. The Fan 99 fans jeered Dallas Cowboys receiver Michael Irvin as he lay on the field for 20 minutes, suffering from a neck injury that ended his career. The rowdy fan behavior had clearly gotten out of control. Enter Judge Seamus McCaffrey, the vet's answer to Judge Wapner. For rowdy tailgaters, he's the man. If you break the law on his beat, you can get booked, locked up, and sentenced all in the same amount of time as it takes to watch the halftime show. After these incidents and other rowdy behavior in the parking lot, the Philadelphia Police Department, 4th District Headquarters, and Municipal Court moved into a locker room at the vet. Despite the crackdown and a move to Lincoln Financial Field, things haven't exactly mellowed out. The Link is outfitted with 100 digital security cameras throughout the stadium and 4 very large jail cells. Oh, and the judge is there too. But why dwell upon the negative? When you strip tailgating down to its fundamentals, when you take away the food, take away the competition, take away the gear, there's only one thing left. And it's the most important thing of all, the people. And really, they're what tailgating is all about.
We used to sit out on our stoops. We used to sit out on our porches and wave to our neighbors as they walked by. In America, we've lost this. What we see in the parking lot is people talking to each other. They're not sitting in front of a computer. They're not watching television to keep company. Everyone gets together for a common cause. And isn't that really what a community is about?
Saturday nights, we can't wait for the night to get over. You go to bed as early as you can so you can get up early and get up here and start tailgating.
The greatest thing ever happened. Tailgating is really nice. I have a lot of good friends and can't be.
It's one of America's favorite pastimes. Its practitioners are tough and sometimes dangerous.
You got to go to the hospital later, you go to the hospital.
Its popularity has been growing for over a century. But it's not football. Welcome to the spectacle behind the spectacle. Join us as we reveal the bizarre rituals, the genteel history, and the over-the-top histrionics of one of America's most inexplicable pastimes. Now, tailgating on Modern Marvels.
The frigid pre-dawn hours of a December Chicago morning. 7 men prepare for a grueling odyssey. Their destination? A frozen expanse of barren tundra 215 miles north. Lambeau Field. They bring with them the fervor of the devout football fan.
This is my Bears shrine.
Roy Taylor is a 32-year-old technical account manager from Carroll Stream, Illinois, and a die-hard Bear fan since 1979.
A few items of Bears-Packer rivalry here. We, of course, had the shirts that we're not going to walk into Lambeau Field with unless we're completely crazy. With the Green Bay Sucks button, of course. And not in complete support of it, but somebody gave me that one. Apparently somebody thinks that Osama wears a cheese head, which we won't argue with, but...
With 7.5 hours left before game time, it's time for these Chicago Bears fans to hit the road.
See you tonight. We'll make it back safe as long as we don't get abused too much.
Along the way, they see signs of the challenges that lie ahead.
That's just to show how tough the Bears really are.
Today, they are part of a nationwide pilgrimage of men and women streaming to football stadiums and arenas across the country for the party that lies just outside in the parking lot.
Giants!
Food, drink, and madness. The movable feast known as tailgating.
What tailgating really is the new community social. You know, we've lost the 4th of July party. We've lost the ability to socialize with our neighbors.
Tailgating really is the revving up period for the fans. It's when they get charged up and ready to go and cheer on their gridiron warriors.
People, they cook out and they bring a keg of beer, and it starts at 7 in the morning, and the game usually starts about 2, and you know, it's a crazy, crazy time.
Tailgating in general is just about people. It's the people you want to be with, it's the people you love. It's just being together 6, 7, 8 times a year. That's what it's all about.
It's really about togetherness more, I think, than it is totally the love of the sport.
It's awesome. It's amazing. It brings up the hype, brings up the spirit. It
gets everybody psyched for the game.
The players train hard to perform, and the fans, they train, so to speak, prior to going in for the game.
Each week, millions of people hit the gates all over America, whether it's State College, Pennsylvania, Miami's Orange Bowl, or the plains of Texas. The true fans are there week in, week out. You've got to wonder how this all began and what kept it going. The origins of what we now call tailgating are pretty murky. What's clear is that through the years, any big spectacle, whether it be sport or battle, brought community together. As depicted in this New York Herald illustration, many have called modern-day football players the Roman warriors of their time, making those outside the Coliseum on game day the first